This video review was done at the request of Sol Vanguard from YouTube. I hope you enjoy the video. It feels as though at this point in time, the mecha genre of games is making a small resurgence since its glory days of the early 2000s. We've seen indies and big companies alike put out games within the past few years, some of which I've been involved with helping out in during development, with games like Mecha Knight's Nightmare, Daemon X Machina, Gundam Battle Operation 2, and a few others coming out, but one I've overlooked has been Project Nimbus, and with it having what seems to have been a good launch for the original game, it's only natural that there would be a sequel. The problem is, I've not played the original, but let's see how Infinity stacks up next to its previous release, and its peers. Like the first game, Infinity is a third-person action shooter similar to Zone of the Enders. While I've heard some people name-drop Armored Core as a comparison, I don't think it's really accurate. Zone of the Enders is definitely something that seems like the devs took inspiration from. Amongst other things, like Gundam, you'll see it throughout the campaign, as the first level is clearly a reference to Initial D, when you even perform tofu delivery in a mech.
And you must be some kind of cadet, I presume?
Not really. Just a random tofu delivery boy who happened to pass by.
The game currently has 6 to 7 missions, roughly, split into Act 1. Of which we can assume there are going to be multiple acts in future. The tutorial mission will have you delivering tofu around town while getting used to flying. This also serves as a way to slowly introduce the player to the setting of the world, and while it does seem to drag on a little, it sets up the story introduction quite nicely. Before you know it, you'll be thrown around in your mech's cockpit while dodging bullets and missiles. The game mixes up the action with very small hubs and story beats that are displayed in 2D. The art style for both is very good. I do enjoy looking around areas and taking a break at my own pace to talk to people and learn more about the story, though I must say it's not immediately apparent that you should talk to people to progress. You can easily just jump in and out of your mech and miss the entire story. Something to indicate to the player that a character wants to talk to them would be nice. We've seen things like this in other games, normally indicated with stuff like an exclamation mark above a character's head or new text floating above them, so you know that you've got to talk to them between missions, otherwise sadly you're going to be left in the dark. The visuals for the game, especially from an indie team, are great. As stated, the 2D artwork is fantastic and reminds me of something like Muramasa the Demon's Blade. And the 3D artwork is pretty good too, but one thing I would like to see is for ships to be just that little bit bigger. The reason why I say this is because at the moment it feels like ships are not really to scale. They're almost the same size as the mech for most cases on screen, if not looking smaller in some instances, which throws the scale off completely. I'd rather have grand battles in space or somewhere in orbit where I'm trying to avoid hulking masses of metal like in Free Space 2. Maybe that's just me, but I'm sure the devs could fix this issue or address it in future. It's something that stands out quite a lot at the moment, much like the Iron-Blooded Orphans reference, or what appears to be one that they snuck into Mission 3. While audio for the most part is decent, the problem is that I have occasionally heard characters' microphones peak a little here and there, and it throws off the overall quality. Combine that with audio sometimes being layered over the top of each other in a way that sounds like an incredible mess. The characters and effects going off over the top of each other all over the place, and yeah, it's not really a nice experience for your ears, let's put it that way.
New interface disabled. Enabling AI-assisted combat.
You've got to be kidding me. That's impossible.
All systems engaged. Battle frame ready for combat.
Did that battle frame single-handedly deny our override? Right now, there are only small UAV drones. They're here only to distract us from their real strike force. Dispatch them, quickly. Wait, isn't that the prototype frame?
Shield regenerating.
Isn't that boy supposed to be locked in your room?
In terms of gameplay, because this game is really fast-paced, it's great when it hits its stride. You'll start engaging in combat with everything at your disposal, and it works really well to make you feel like you're in a fast-paced combat mech. As bullets whiz past you at high speeds and missiles try to lock onto you, you're busy destroying everything around you as quick as you can. Heck, after replaying it a couple of times, I feel like this game really works well if you try and speedrun it in each mission. It gives you the sense of urgency that's missing from such levels as Mission 5. While stuff like melee feels a little bit clunky at times, the overall experience doesn't disappoint.
But I put them back in wagon. Ready.
Luna, aren't you sleepy?
Not at all. I got plenty of sleep and you've been flying around like an ace. Don't worry about me. This is nothing. I'm totally fine.
She's flying.
Here's the part where it may sound negative. You have to remember my background and career up until this point has been as a games tester, working on over 25 AAA titles. Heck, last year I worked on another indie mecha game very closely with the developer, that being Mecha Knight's Nightmare, so it's not that I don't know what I'm on about, but because of my background I may look at stuff a little bit more negatively than most might, so please take that into account. At the point of playing and writing this, there are issues with the game, obviously. Most are minor, missing effects, things like that, AI getting stuck on geometry, audio and subtitle problems, your usual minor stuff. The worst one for me was getting soft-locked in the tutorial menu due to me pausing and overlaying the menus on top of each other. And to me, even though this stuff is minor, it's a little let down as I feel like the potential for this game is great, but I imagine people now getting more critical of stuff similar to official testers after releases such as Cyberpunk. You know, everybody's vision of what a game should be on launch is becoming more critical because of launches like that. Seeing it all these, you know, like minor issues could potentially turn people off, and as a result, that upsets me. It really upsets me because this game has the potential to be great, as previously stated. When it clicks with you, it's really, really good. It just needs that extra level of polish. Even if it's an early access game, I feel like personally it could have used more time in the oven to really iron stuff out and make Act 1 really stand out and set the bar in terms of quality for the rest of the game. That way players would know what to expect and that it was a high standard. But that's just me. The way that players approach this is going to be different, but I got so upset about this stuff, even with it being minor. I went and looked at the company that did the testing for this, because I want to know how they treated this launch, if it was rushed or not. I definitely feel like that extra time would have easily been justified, you know, spent fixing things up just that little bit more. But again, maybe that's just me. I'm just passionate as hell for indie devs and first impressions that they can make with their games, mainly due to the AAA scene dropping the ball so many times and giving us so many buggy games in recent years. Hell, I'll cheer for the little guy all the time as much as I can on, you know, wanting them to succeed. And I think that's why it just hurts me a little bit more knowing that it could be better and it should be better at this point.
Missile reload complete.
So should you get Nimbus Infinity? While my initial reactions to this game were mixed, of course, playing it more and getting to grips with it and giving it more time, I've come to enjoy it a hell of a lot more, even with its issues. In terms of should you get it, it all depends on if you find the stuff I've talked about here entertaining, and if you consider the minor issues I've mentioned bad. It's not a bad package, it's just the start of something much greater, and only time will tell how far the devs can push it, but personally, I wouldn't pass it up. I'm just excited to see what the future holds for the devs and this game.
Attack with your melee weapon at the same time. CIWS ready.
You still not done or what? Terran, Odelia, American Elite Squadron sighted.
Shield.
I'll try to intercept them, but you're on your own now. No more drones for you either.
Cal, what's the holdup?
I hope you've enjoyed this video, and you know, if you're interested in this, if you want to leave a comment down below, I'll try and respond to it as quickly as possible. I might even see some of you guys over on the Steam's discussion page for this, because I want to keep up to date with it, and I want to keep you guys up to date in future. Maybe, you know, we'll get updates on this whenever they come out, and just see what the future holds for it. Either way, I hope to see you on the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this, and until later, bye!